Calling the meeting to order on January 7th of the Neighborhood Improvement Commission. And roll call, please, Jennifer.
Commissioner Alexander,
Here.
Commissioner Meyer,
Here.
Commissioner Riordan,
Here.
Commissioner Oleta Reed,
Here.
Vice Chair LaBouffe, and Chair Costello.
Here. Thank you. And review of the agenda. If there are items that arose after the 72-hour posting deadline, this is the point in the meeting where a vote may be taken to add the item to the agenda. Are there any agenda items to add? No, then opening to public comment. Members of the public wishing to address the commission on matters within the jurisdiction of the city of Seaside, but not on the agenda, may do so now during the public comment period for up to 3 minutes. Comments on specific agenda items are heard under that item. For the public record, please state your name. Is there any public comment? And is there any comment on Zoom? Thank you. So next, approval of the minutes. Has everyone had a chance to look over the minutes? And do we have a motion to approve them? Or approve the minutes from last month?
No, second.
Great, thank you. And nicely done, Jennifer. Super clear. Thank you. Yeah, that's a great. Thank you. Love it. So business, we're on 6A. Oh, sorry. Where am I? Oh, we have to vote on the minutes. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? It pass. Okay. 6A, election of chair and vice chair. So I've mentioned to most of the commission that I just don't have the time to carry on as chair, and I'd like to nominate Dennis to take over as chair. That's my input here. Anyone else?
I'll nominate Ray for chair. I nominate Tiffany for co-chair.
That comes out. Okay. So since there's just one for co-chair, can we go ahead and vote on co-chair? Or do we need some discussion on this?
I'd just like to say that I'm very impressed with Tiffany's presence on this commission in my time here. So I think it's a fantastic nomination.
Thank you, Dennis.
I agree. So let's see. Yes. I haven't done this before. So.
Good evening, Commission. First thing you really need to do is make sure that each person that was nominated accepts the nomination, and then we can move forward with that one. With the co-chair, if it can just be a straight up vote. I don't know how this commission has done it in the past. When you vote, when you have multiple for the Parks and Rec Commission, we would do a blind vote. So we can go that route as well. But first, I would recommend that each nominee would then state that whether or not they accept the nomination.
Do each of the nominees accept the nomination? Dennis? Tiffany?
I do.
Ray?
Are you?
Then I would suggest that we vote for co-chair and then blind vote for chair, and then we're okay. Wanted a motion for that.
I'll make a motion to vote for Tiffany Myers for the co-chair for the NIC.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Yeah, sure.
Aye.
Myself. All opposed? Okay, great. So motion is carried for Tiffany Meyer to be our co-chair. And next we need some scraps of paper. Thanks for that direction. Thank you. Thank you.
Started on the outside, sorry. It's gonna stick to your hands. I know.
All right, Chair, would you like me to read the votes?
Appreciate that. Thank you.
Are you gonna do like Jeff Prost in Survivor?
Wait, I think they're a little bit more organized to have a little dramatic effect. All right, we got one vote for Ray. Another vote for Ray, so that's two votes, Ray. That sound like Jeff?
Zero votes, Dennis. Right now, right now.
One vote for Dennis. That's two votes, Ray, one vote, Dennis.
Good, just like you.
We have another vote for Dennis. We're at two votes, Ray, two votes, Dennis, one vote left. And the final vote is for Ray. Ray, 3 votes, Dennis, 2 votes. Your new chair is Ray.
Congratulations. Congratulations, Ray.
Thank you.
Would you like to take over just now?
Just now?
Yes,
Sure, I'll take. it.
thank you.
Thank you, Joan, for.
Thank you, Joe. Oh,
Thank you, yes.
Good job.
Very much so. We really appreciate everything. We really do.
Yeah,
Thank you, Joan.
no, thank you. All right. Oh, okay. I get the middle seat, okay.
Very important. The hot seat.
Well, first of all, I would like to say thank you for everybody that voted for me. Okay. And I need to just say this so everybody knows where I'm coming from. I know I'm very vocal. I know I'm very outspoken. But in this position now, I can't be that way. I have to be neutral. I have to work with people in a full 100%. So trust me, I will tone it down and not be so anxious, what my wife calls it. Other people
Otherwise,
call-
we're gonna report to Ms.
Uh,
Gordon.
Well, she just doesn't want me to go to jail. No, just. Okay, so where do we go from here?
I think we need to call roll for.
We just need to recognize that Commissioner LeBoeuf has arrived, and then also we need to go out to public comment for the election. Item.
Okay. Public comment for the election item?
Diane Nielsen, Seaside resident. Congratulations, Ray. And thank you, Joan, for your past year leadership. And I just want to wish everybody, I just figured I'd talk because nobody else is. I want to wish everybody a happy new year, and I would look forward to what you do this year with neighborhood improvement projects.
Anybody else for public comment? So now we go to review the project proposals that have been submitted.
Hi, good evening, Chair, members of the commission. I was working with Jennifer today to try to identify if any proposals were submitted. And after reviewing the letter, we noticed that the letter stated for the proposals to be submitted to Jessica Edwards, who we all know is no longer with the city of Seaside. I went and discussed with our IT department, and we pulled up her emails, and we were unable to locate any submissions at all that have come into that email address. So to our knowledge and our record right now, we have no submissions of proposals to come in for the commission for the NIC's 25-26 work plan. So the commission can decide on whether or not they want to extend the opportunity. Maybe the holidays was, an issue. I know there was some talk at the last meeting on whether or not that it would be a little bit challenging for people to actually submit proposals during the holiday period. They may have forgotten during this time. I know that the commission wants to try and have the proposals ready for the retreat for this coming weekend to kind of review and go over then. But I do believe that we had a February date that was outlined to actually kind of really decide and pick. So the commission could go a variety of different ways right now on what they want to do, but I'll leave it up to all of you to decide on how you'd like to move forward.
Can I speak to that first? We did put, this was a time when we would love to start seeing them, but they don't have to be turned in by this meeting or even by the retreat. We might want to consider moving the retreat back till after the February deadline or sometime during February when we have more coming in.
Yeah, I was gonna, if I may,
Sure.
Mr. Chair. Mr. Chair, right? Is that proper? Chair, I've got in my notes that we had proposals due 6 January preferred with extension up to 28 February. And then I have in parentheses hard deadline to present at March. So I don't know. And then of course we had this weekend. For our retreat.
January 11th.
So I'm thinking in light of not having any proposals at all, maybe we should reschedule, as Joan said.
Well, because we do have the retreat planning on another item of the agenda, right? So we would wait to get to what we want to do with the retreat there. I think this item now is more of an informational item. So we're kind of just at the discussion point there. So however the commission wants to move forward with this particular item that we're on right now with, you received my update on the proposals, and you can take that information and kind of move forward on how you would like to proceed.
Just a question as a matter for clarification. All the other commissions have received notice that we were accepting.
It's my understanding that it did get submitted. I know that there in the packet, it does have a list of the liaisons for all the commissions. It was emailed to the liaisons and the chairs. So they did receive it from at least one point. Whether or not it got distributed or they discussed it at a commission meeting. I think we even discussed that December was kind of light and a lot of commissions didn't even meet in December. So that may have also been a challenge as well, where that wasn't an item that they had on, a topic for discussion. For example, the Parks and Rec Commission, our only item was to actually go on the tour. So.
Go ahead, Billy.
Can we put another notice out, and if we can put down a second notification or second request in the subject matter, so they'll know deadline is what's effect.
Yeah, we can definitely do that. And then maybe the commission should decide on another date that they want to have. Because in the letter, it just called out the January 7th date. It didn't have any other dates in there. So if the commission wants to pick another date to have those requests submitted back to, I think that would be beneficial.
Well, so here's my thing. If we're meeting, I'm thinking, I don't have my calendar in front of me, but I'm thinking we're probably meeting that first Tuesday of March, which will probably be what, the 6th or the 3rd or something. And if we're meeting on the 28th, that doesn't give us a lot of time to discuss. I mean, we're hearing and then we're meeting, and that's just, well, actually, we're not even hearing. The 28th just means they have to get them in. I'm assuming they'll be presented to us at the March meeting. And then we'll vote then because, or,
Do this under retreat planning.
okay.
Yeah, why don't we just move it forward and just talk about it with retreat planning
Okay,
right now?
that's a good idea.
Okay.
And then also on the email, when we send out that second notice, which I concur with Commissioner Oleta Reed, can we make sure we change the person who they need to submit those to?
Oh, absolutely. We will update all the contact information. And then when you decide on what actual date would be, I think then we can kind of move forward with that. Yeah.
So does anybody have a presentation or a thought of when we want to meet for our retreat?
Moving into retreat
I'm
planning.
moving into retreat.
Well, we gotta still open up public comment.
Okay, that's right. Public comment. Anything for public comment, please?
Diane Nielsen again. What would have been nice is to have a staff report saying that there were no submissions. So people that came to the meeting who were expecting to hear what those submissions were may not have needed to come to the meeting. And not that I wouldn't have come myself, but what I find is when there is an item and there's no report, no staff report, it sort of leaves us in the dark. I mean, we can't make an informed input if we don't have a little more information, like the project proposals that have been submitted. It would be nice to know which projects were or were not submitted, which bodies have not submitted or have submitted and what they submitted. And the suggestion I have besides staff reports for the public, which is what you want public input, right? You just don't want a group of people, 6 people making the decisions. You want, or figuring out what to do. You want the public to help you do that. The communication to the different commissions apparently didn't get out. And that is not only because somebody isn't here anymore, but I find that that happens regularly. And it would be nice if there was somebody in those particular liaisons of those commissions to follow up to see that their commission actually received the request and when they can submit it. Because like if you submit something, if you're asking people to submit something January 28th, or is it February 28th? January 28th? The Parks and Rec Commission doesn't meet till like 2 days before that or something. Are they meeting the 26th or what's the date? It's the same week. It's within a couple of days of, you'll be asking for something that they couldn't do because they aren't even going to meet until a couple of days before. So there is some more deeper coordination that I think should be discussed and decided upon so commissions can be more effective together. And that's my input. Thank you.
Thank you.
And I forgot to say, congratulations to you too.
Sure.
Do you have any suggestions on how we can get that information? Because, we were trying to put out the information. I think we talked about it in our November meeting and we wanted to put it out in December, but nobody else was meeting in December. And the only meeting that we ended up having with Parks and Recs was for the lights. And so, we're trying to be proactive as a commission, and we want to get the information out so that the other commissions have suitable time to think of ideas, present them to us, and then we have suitable time to get them to vet them and to get them to the city council. And so, we're trying to find a way that works, and maybe you have an idea.
Well, the procedure now is it gets sent to the liaison? Is that correct? Or does it get like the request letter? Who sends the request letter and who makes sure it gets to that group?
Did you send us stuff? I would hope everything goes through the chair and then.
So goes there, and then out to the commissioners. And how does it get out to the other commissioners? I mean, do you send it out to all the commissioners?
I will address that.
Okay,
Those are my comments, is it's the coordination thing and getting the communication straight. Yeah. It's based on a lot of things. It's tricky.
I would hope that every commission got the notification. And I think we brought it up at our last meeting that, they could call for a special meeting. So granted, they didn't meet in December, but they could say, they weren't scheduled to meet on December, but they could say, oh, this has come up. And one of those chairpersons could have said, I want to hold a special meeting on X date to see if we have any information. So I think we did indeed go out to the proper channels, and the other commissioners, just holiday time, they just didn't get around to it. So I wouldn't blame it on all of it to communication, although I do appreciate what you said, Ms. Nielsen, but I wouldn't blame this scenario on that communication gap.
I'd just like to say, I don't think there's any blame to go on this because of the holidays. There is, the way I understood, there were some commissioners that weren't even gonna meet on December. And then we were having another meeting in January, which we weren't even gonna have the possibility to have. So I think it's just, it was not organized as well as it should have been, but I think we're gonna hit that every holidays. That's just the way it's gonna be. So picture we'll try something different. There'll be a different chair and then.
Can I just speak just real quick? I think it's all just fine. We have 2 more months for two,
Yeah.
that means 2 meetings for each commission, and we're just fine.
Yeah.
So I don't
We
think
can
we
make it
need
happen.
to blame anything. This is fine.
We'll just close public comment.
All right, and just to answer a couple of those questions that came up. So the email for the letter was mailed out on November 25th. So the letter was emailed to all the commission liaisons. From there, I know I sent it to the chair of the Parks and Rec Commission. So then it would have been up to the chair and then to disseminate the information, from that point. I can't attest to the other liaisons on how they, disseminated that information to the commission, but Commissioner Costello is right. Right now we do have 2 months now, right? It's the beginning of January. I think Parks and Rec Commission, we had to alter our dates because all our meeting dates in January and February both fell on holidays. So we are meeting at the end of January and then the end of February. But at the very least, we can have a meeting in January where we can discuss it. We'll send the information out once this week. We'll push it back out to the commission. And I think between Jennifer and I, we can make sure that the rest of the liaisons and the commissions are aware of this, so we can hopefully get the submissions to come in maybe mid-February. We can, kind of have that timeline we can gauge, and then that gives all the commissions enough time to really put some thought into it and provide some information.
Thank you. So let's open it up to discussion of when we would want the retreat. Well, yeah, I think that will all come together.
So I'm thinking that March 1st is a Saturday, and that would be after the deadline for submissions and before our meeting. So if we, it would fit in there, we'd have time to look over all the proposals before we have our regular meeting. So that's my thought. Check the calendars.
The chair?
Sure.
I think it's a good idea. I was gonna propose that as well, that, you know, if we're looking at February 28th, is that right? As the outlier date for receiving proposals, then we could hit it while it's hot. But remember that we also have to, well, we don't have to, but I think it would be proper if we still see if the homelessness commission, because they were gonna make a presentation to us this Saturday, is that right? I'd still like to hear from them, see what they have to say, so. I mean, I say we just set that date and then they make it, if they really wanna make it, so. Which I think they will.
I concur with March 1st.
March
And
1st.
and if somebody was already planning to be there, I think what we were planning to have with the homeless commission was a meet and greet. And I just say we need to postpone that. Chair will need to get in touch, or somebody will have to get in touch with them and let them know that, because remember it was gonna be the last hour from 12 to 1-ish. That we were, yes, that we were gonna have a meet and greet, that Miss Cunningham had wanted us to get, just kind of meet all the commissioners and just kind of, and that they could meet us and we could just kind of get to know each other. That was gonna be that last hour from like 12 to 1. So I feel like, we could still do that, but if we're not gonna have the retreat on the 11th, then we need to postpone it to the 1st of March, if everybody agrees to that date.
I understood that it not to be a meet and greet, but to inform them of what our duties were, because they didn't understand what the commission was all about.
Oh, okay.
So, and I think someone during public comment said, look through the pamphlet and, we shouldn't have to do that. They should just read up on it. I don't feel comfortable telling them what we do and, well, never mind.
What I have in my notes is homeless commission trying to find overlap on how to improve Seaside,
Yeah,
getting to know one another and what we're doing.
right. So,
Some of us, myself, I don't believe the homeless belongs into NIC. It just doesn't fit into my criteria of the way I read it. But I'm open to suggestions, change my mind, but I just don't see it.
If I may,
Yeah.
I'm not sure, I didn't get the impression that they were. One or the other of the commissions was going to envelop the other one, but rather just see where we can work together on things, since since their understanding is that an improved neighborhood is one where, I'm assuming this is their understanding, an improved neighborhood is one where the challenge of homelessness is looked at, and vice versa. So I saw as just seeing areas that we can work together, if there are areas that cross, not that we actually
Will.
become one or the other.
Mhm.
So,
Okay.
but I may be wrong. That's just what I kind of gathered.
Anybody else?
I agree with you, in that on some areas, I don't believe that the homeless, that their projects align with our projects as I see it for the NIC as well. But I don't want to be the one to say, I'm not willing to listen because I don't know every proposal they have out there. And they could come up with something that is common, that I do find could be something for the NIC to embrace.
Okay.
So I don't want to discourage anyone on my viewpoint. I don't want to discourage anyone from submitting a proposal, but in that sense, from what I've heard thus far from the commission, I agree with you.
Anybody else?
I agree with you, but we are having a bit of a discussion here. We're just looking at the flyer that has our missions in it, and I agree with the flyer. It has nothing in here that states anything about that we are beholden to the homeless or anything. There's might be a sentence vague enough that says that we have, remove items that adversely influence property values and encourage citizens to voluntarily comply with various city codes, relating to the general appearance of the city. That's a big stretch, but I don't think that the homeless commission or the homeless bus is something that we can take on per our mission and our purview.
I think we're steering away from the subject though, because we were just gonna find out, should we meet with the homeless again? Or now we're discussing, will we entertain any of their thoughts, but do we still want to meet with them?
Through the chair?
That's still the question.
We can always listen to someone, but, you see, I'm a type of person, I don't want people to waste their time.
That's it.
And if you have, you know, 6 of us sitting up here and there's 4 of us that already have, that doesn't participate with the NIC guidelines, then why waste their time? And it's a shame to say it that way, but it's just, that's how it works, I believe. But I'm more than willing to listen to them. But I've read that pamphlet, I've read our bylaws, and just doesn't hit the mark for that, just like other things don't. And maybe the city council, we need to bring this to them. If, I don't know if they were planning on giving a presentation to city council. Does anybody know?
Through the chair. No, to that question, I don't. I would like to go into this. Well, first of all, with the thought that all commissions, the interest of all commissions are to make the city of Seaside a better place within their roles. Whether or not those roles do have overlaps, then I think it's worth exploring. I've always, when I was on this commission years ago, and then when I was on that city council, I was disturbed that the commissions were looked at as silos and didn't work together on some things, when I think there's a lot of things we might be able to work together on, but we won't know unless we explore it. If we explore it and we decide it's not worth it, then we do that. Then we can make that decision. But I think we would really be wasting time if we didn't at least explore it.
Anybody else?
So, I'm, to the chair, I'm wondering, should we go ahead and vote then on a date? If the date for the retreat, and then have a second vote on whether or not we want to hear the, homeless commission or meet with them, still meet with them.
You can do it that way.
Is there-
Public comment on this?
I'm just gonna put one thing out there as a public comment, and it's more of kind of along the lines and just as an idea of where the conversation has gone between the homeless commission and something that I can kind of bring it back to where you guys work to. And for example, is you have the neighborhood cleanup where you put the garbage dumpsters out. You know, one thing that I know that the city does struggle with is that we do pick up a lot of debris from homeless encampments or individuals that, accumulate stuff. One thing that could be looked at is maybe one of those cleanup days focuses on working with some of the homeless individuals and being like, hey, you have all of this stuff. How much of it is actually needed? And maybe one of those dumpsters could be put in an area where they could use it as a method to get rid of some of this ongoing stuff. So it's not seen as a blight on Del Monte or Fremont or on those side streets. Just an idea that just came to me when we were just sitting here as a way that you kind of can bridge these things together. And it does take the commissions to work together to kind of put those things, to fruition. This may or may not work, but it was just, something that I can see that you're already doing and how it could be twist it into something that could work for them as well, as we are always trying to. I think we have a Connex box outside that is full of debris that we have picked up from the homeless. So those are just things that if we can help them help us, maybe get rid of stuff that they don't necessarily need, but they're just bringing with them, I guess, if you will. Just an idea, but I just wanted to put that out there on record.
Diane Nielsen. Helping the homeless give up some of their stuff is a stretch, in my opinion, because they like their stuff. They want to keep their stuff as much as they can. You could clean up things that they throw away, like, litter, but I see that as a kind of a stretch for them wanting to give up their things that they're carrying and their baskets and they've got around them. I mean, that's kind of their security. And the other thing about the Homeless Commission is the meet and greet. My thought is, if you're going to have a meet and greet with one commission, you just might as well invite all the commissions to a meet and greet or information. I mean, they can come here and see what you do. You can go there and see what they do at their meetings. And just having one commission come and get together with you seems discriminatory in a way. And my last thought, not that you have any, is that the County of Monterey should be providing the showers and placing them in different places, not the Neighborhood Improvement Commission in Seaside. So that's my input.
Any other public comment?
Through the chair, may I just address this? Certainly that, I just wanted to go on record that the Homeless Commission actually came to us and asked us if they could, present, meet and greet, what do you want, or explore areas. It wasn't us going to them, because I don't want to look at it as discriminatory, because they actually asked us if they could attend our retreat and talk with us about such things. So, that's for the Homeless Commission. If other commissions came to us with the same proposal, we'd explore it at that time. But I just want to let it be known that it wasn't the NIC that went to the Homeless Commission and said, "Hey, come to our retreat." They asked if they could come to talk.
I'm going to try to propose a motion that will include it all, and that's that we have a retreat on March 1st from, I believe we're doing 8 to 12. And then include 1 hour from 12 to 1 if the Homeless Commission still wants to come and talk to us. That's my motion.
I second that motion.
Okay,
The chair.
yes.
Just want to make sure, with scheduling this, I will have to look at what's available at Oldemeyer Center for March 1st. I will bring it back and we'll see what's up there. But I want to make sure that the commission is flexible on whether or not, maybe if Oldemeyer isn't available, then maybe Soper or one of the other locations, that will work through the city to find something that will work for that date. I just wanted to put it out there that it may be contingent on what the availability of a meeting space. I'm sure at the very minimum, we could always meet in here, but I know the idea of a retreat is to kind of go out of where you normally meet.
Thank you.
Everybody okay with that?
I am.
Flexible?
Yep.
All right. Okay. Yes, guys.
That was a motion?
Mhm.
Okay, I'll second that motion.
I already did.
Oh, you're okay.
We had a vote.
Let's vote.
That's the motion. So if you're not okay with the second part, you need to do a count or something.
Who's all for the motion?
All in favor?
All in favor? Thank you.
Aye.
Aye.
And then all opposed.
And who opposes?
Nay.
So motion passes. So we'll be meeting on March 1st from 8 to 12, and then 12 to 1 would be the homeless presentation if they want to come there. And then you will let us know about the place where we're gonna have it. Yes.
I just wanted to reiterate that we want to need to make sure that the homeless commission is well aware that we are not meeting with them this Saturday. I hate for them to show up and us not be there.
Oh,
Thank you.
I have to ask this question. Are you our new liaison?
Oh, we didn't address the minutes still say
Because
that.
wasn't Jessica or no, or
Yeah, it's time to,
I hate to throw this out real quick, but I'm sitting up there going, who's who or what?
So technically, yes, for the time being, I will be your liaison until a new building official arrives.
Oh,
So
okay.
there is no timeline on that right now. We have a contracted building official who is doing the work that Jessica would have been doing, but he's here part-time and he's not an actual employee.
Okay.
So the city manager delegated this to me. So here I am, and you're stuck with me for a few months.
Lucky duck you.
Yeah, right. All right, let's move on to the future of the High Five program. I'd like to ask who brought this up to the table, or
Sure, I did not. I
Okay.
brought this up because I thought I saw some email or something that the city council had voted not to have us as the overseers of this, and I wanted to know why. Because I think because I think we're the perfect commission to oversee this. So I'd just like to get an update on that with as it says, what the future of it is.
to the chair, we were also asked to do this. It was a request from the chief and from the city manager, and then it was like, no, so we kind of, we are, our feelings hurt. So will you address that? Thanks, Dan.
Well, I'll be addressing it a little bit more in the next item, but in short, this was one of the commission's requests in the work plan. However, the city council did not approve it. So right now, there is no funding allocated for the High Five program for at least this current cycle that within the commission's jurisdiction. So regardless, I don't think that the NIC is no longer overseeing it. I just know that the $5,000 that was allocated through the work plan was not actually allocated to it in this cycle. So right now there is no funding for it. With that being said, the commission can still decide on developing the plan, putting it together, and then, if funding is available, if it's within, you have leftover funds this fiscal year within your work plan, then maybe we can figure out a way to identify something, maybe start as a pilot, pick one house or whatnot, however that's going to work. But as of right now, there was no money allocated for it.
the question I have is, why did the city council say no?
Yeah.
If we brought something to their table, won't they just say no to us also? Is there a reason, or?
Trying to, without like getting into the next topic,
Okay,
there was certain things that the council really wanted to focus on. They were more on the lines of more brick and mortar kind of things that can be seen long term, right? Because something is, if my memory serves me correctly, something like this, right? Is you go and you fix someone's house one time. Who's to say that in 6 months, it's not going to be back to the same place that it was before, right? And then now we're going to have to go back and allocate more funding for it. So that is kind of what I was getting at from when they were making their decisions. But, things could always change if there's more of a refined process on how it's going to work, if there's some sustainability to it, right? And maybe that just comes with developing more of a plan, coming up with, like this individual, this homeowner will be granted, maybe a year worth of quarterly upkeep or whatever that may be. And, there could be a lottery system or something involved with that.
Sure.
Thank you, Ms. Mewis. So what's your understanding? What I'm asking is, did the city council see us as not the appropriate commission to oversee this, or was it just that, they want to see a more of a process, and they want to have the funding there, but we are the right commission?
I don't think it was ever a concern or a question about the commission overseeing it. I think it was the actual program, and that the funds being allocated for it, they wanted to see it being more tangible items, if you will.
Yes.
Our seaside sign? Out on our Canyon Del Rey, brick and mortar.
And I'll say this, there's a few council people that are on the brick and mortar. They want to see something in place. I mean, there's no doubt about that. And so to get something passed by them, if it's not brick and mortar, has a slim chance, I believe, but yeah. Anybody else?
I just want to say that, I, as a property taxpayer and a taxpayer, I want to see the money I pay going to clean up somebody else's house. Okay. I mean, I know that sounds mean, but, or maybe, I don't know, maybe other people will agree, but I mean, I work hard to clean up my house. I know that there are people that are struggling, but I just don't think that it's fair for us to take, taxpayer funds or even the TOT tax and clean up other people's properties. I feel like it's a slippery slope. I mean, there's liability. Who are you going to get to do it? And if something happens to them, do they have insurance? Could the homeowner sue? And then are we in for a pound for a penny? I mean, do we have to come back and do it? Like you were talking about quarterly. I mean, that just seems like a lot. And personally, unless we're made to, I'm probably always going to vote against the High Five program, just because even though we're NIC and it's an improvement thing, I just don't think that we should be using taxpayer funds on private property.
To the chair.
Sure.
We aren't voting on it now. We all know how we all feel about it. So we were just wanting some update from city council. I mean, we'll vote on it again maybe in the future.
Yeah, we can bring it up in next month or something like that and find out, or maybe some of us can dive into the city council a little bit and ask them their opinions some more, get their feelings on it, because that's people that are going to approve it or not. So everybody okay with that? Yeah. Okay.
Public comment.
Public comment, anybody?
I
Boy,
very
I'm
much.
gonna forget that every time, ain't it? Just like.
Do you want me to say something?
That's okay. Yeah, that's just support, so.
You could make public comment.
Hey,
You may not want to get one.
public comment is closed, so we might as well move on to E. Update the Neighborhood Improvement Commission recommendations that were approved or disapproved by City Council.
All right, so commission, part of this is part of the presentation that I gave to the city council. I was the one that brought forward to them your recommendations twice. So some of the slides are the same, but then I did alter just a little bit for tonight. I added one extra one at the end. Okay. Just for the background, the commission is well aware that the council adopted the ordinance 1054, which directed 50% of the transient occupancy tax generated by short-term rentals towards the community and park improvements with the NIC. And the commission provides recommendations to the council for the funds. This year, we had $389,405. This commission worked diligently to review and discuss to get input for the projects of the work plan. You held 5 meetings. Initially, it was presented to the council on October 3rd. At that meeting, the council accepted your recommendations at that time, but the council also directed staff to come back to try and get more concrete numbers on some of the project ideas to see what would actually be feasible to move forward with the recommendations that were provided. And then on 11/21, we brought back those numbers for the council. We did have to make some tweaks based on the numbers that were actually relevant with the real numbers. Just, going back, so you had your proposed annual projects, the neighborhood cleanup, the tree giveaway, the neighborhood watch program, the graffiti abatement program, and the high five program, all which totaled $65,000. And then we had the community and commission proposed projects, extra benches on general gym, utility box racks, box wraps, the bike racks, and 2 new murals, one at the preschool, the other one at the Oldemeyer, another one at Oldemeyer. Improved the landscaping at the Gateway sign, community flag giveaway, Capra Park revitalization, adult fitness at Lincoln Cunningham, playground at Lincoln Cunningham, and then 3 water fountains, totaling $320. So after our cost analysis, we decided with the staff, the proposed annual project stayed at $65,000. The murals at $15,000 each. That was a relevant cost. The benches on general gym, it came up to the total cost is $4,500 per bench. That includes the installation, the concrete, the safety railing, everything that goes into it. The bike racks are roughly $1,300 each. Some depending, some may need a concrete pad poured, some may not. So we went kind of on the average price on whether or not you needed that concrete pad. Utility box wrap, $1,700. That was an accurate cost. The Gateway sign improvements was $15,000. Water fountains or $20,000 each. And that comes with, running, making sure they have the adequate piping and running all the electricity if needed and things like that. The Capra Park revitalization was a total of $62,000. If you remember, there was $25,000 for the garden, and then we added an extra for a barbecue and a picnic bench, and there was a water fountain included in there too. And then the community flag giveaway for $4,000. So when we think about, we go into the bigger picture, Lincoln Cunningham Parkway structure, there was $70,000 for that. The engineer's estimate of the probable construction cost was $352,000 for a playground, right? So when we think about it, while yes, the $70,000 may get us the equipment, you got to think about all the extra added and stuff that goes into when you're installing a playground. You got the drainage, the curb ramps, the concrete that would go in there, the mulching or the safety surfacing, and a variety of other costs. The Lincoln Cunningham, the adult fitness was $90,000, but the engineer's estimate of that was $447,000. So you can see that it is expensive to put in playgrounds and things like that. And this is even with going in there while it's under construction, right? We're actually saving money at this rate because the park is currently under construction and they don't have to mobilize and demobilize because they're already there. So the summary of the staff, recommendations that was brought to the council was to combine the funds for the Lincoln Cunningham project into one. and complete the playground. We had some extra funds left over from the trail project, so that would actually give us enough funding to complete the playground. So that was the recommendation to the city council, was to do that, to wait on the adult fitness and then combine those extra funds to do the playground. The flag giveaway, that kind of, that staff recommend was not recommended moving forward because it was more of giving the community tangible items that were taxpayer dollars. And the council kind of felt that same, that it wasn't, it's privately, we're giving people a privately owned item that may give it to someone else who may not live in the city, and we can't guarantee that those are actually going to Seaside residents. And then other projects with higher costs than allocation, staff recommended proceeding with those projects, but by reducing the number that was recommended. For example, we had multiple benches on General Gym. We had enough funding for one extra bench and going that way. And then the bike racks, there was multiple bike racks. So we lowered the number of bike racks that we would be proposing. So then when we look at the total, this was what was proposed to the city council. The neighborhood cleanup for 15,000, the tree giveaway, 10,000, neighborhood watch program, the graffiti abatement, high five, and there would be one extra bench on General Gym, 5 utility box wraps, 2 bike racks, both murals, the landscape improvement, maintenance Seaside sign, Capitol Park revitalization, mural, the preschool mural, and then the Lincoln Cunningham play structure. So we had 160 total, and then we have an extra $200,000 left over from the other project, which would give us 360. And then one water fountain refill station, and it was recommended at Metz Park because that is a sports facility and there is already water at that park. So it made it easier to have that installed there. So with that, this is what was presented to the council. The council, reviewed this information, and ultimately they decided to basically they denied all of the items that were the proposed annual projects except for the tree giveaway program. So the extra cleanup days, the neighborhood watch program, the graffiti abatement program, and the high five program, all that money went back into the bucket. So those ones didn't get included. Everything else, and the flag giveaway also did not get included. So that gave us $69,000 that got put back into the bucket. So ultimately, when we look at it here, we have what was actually approved by the city council. You have 10,000 for the tree giveaway, 1 extra bench on General Gym, 5 utility box wraps, 4 bike racks. So while we initially requested 2, the council opted to go 4. So we're going to get 4 bike racks. The mural in Oldenmeyer, both murals, Capra, Lincoln Cunningham Playground, and then the 1 refill station. And then in addition, the city council recommended the following projects. Extra benches in Lincoln Cunningham Park. So once the playground gets installed and the trails get put up, there was some benches that got put in there. The new projector screen at Oldenmeyer Center for $19,000. I've been working on that, and that's something that I was working on in the beginning of the budget year. And when I told them that the cost was earlier, they decided that they wanted to use some of this money to help get the new screen over for that. A barbecue as well at Lincoln Cunningham Park. So that will go near the area of the playground. So that way, while the playground and the trails are done, we'll have some more seating, the barbecue area. Solar lights on the palm trees on Fremont. That we're going to be looking at getting that. And then replacement lights for the Seaside Gateway sign on Canyon Del Rey. And the other thing that they did also was the $15,000 for the upkeep on the corner sign. They felt that staff should be upkeeping on that as well, right? And after discussing with Public Works, they felt that the landscape that is there is drought tolerant. It's taken its form already. It just needed to be maintained. And I think it got left to the wayside for some time. And if we were to spend money to rip it all out and put new landscaping in there, there's no guarantee that whatever we put in there is actually going to take and stay. So we are working to make sure that that gateway is maintained and looking clean and nice for here on out. Like that's going to be one of the focal points. So that was another area that they addressed. And then you'll see that there's gateway sign on there. So what was proposed was, I don't know if you've been to the top of Broadway. The top of Broadway, there is a fountain that's similar to the one that is actually right here in the middle little circle across from City Hall. It's damaged. So they it was requested to replace that one. And they requested to make it a similar seahorse as the one that is currently on the gateway sign at Delmont or at Canyon Del Rey. So we are looking at replicating the seahorse there next to the Seaside sign and then putting it up on Broadway. So that was one of their other recommendations, was to kind of have some continuity of what our, gateway signs and monuments look like. We would keep the other one there, put it in archives or figure out a way to do it, but it is damaged at this point. So overall, the new total of projects was up to $370,000. So while the majority of the projects were selected, there were some that were not. And then I think if you've seen in the past, the city council does have some other ideas and things that they'd like to try and fit in there if there's anything that they don't, want to move forward with.
Can I clarify one thing?
Yeah.
It doesn't look like we have our neighborhood cleanup anymore.
But it's my understanding that neighborhood cleanup was already, that was an additional. Yeah.
It doesn't?
No, that was for an additional 2 more is what my understanding was to do it quarterly, to have 4 instead of 2.
Or just more dumpsters?
Yeah.
What we're looking
Yeah.
at. Is it we're maxing it.
So that, I'm sorry, that alarmed me, because that's not really clear here. It looks to me as well like it's being eliminated, not just.
No, that was the 2 additional that was requested, right? So that was, so yes, no, you still have the 2 that are there. That was for the additional 2. That was, that wasn't included because that was something that I thought was already incorporated into. Yeah. There's something that's something that's already happening. They're fine with the 2. They didn't want to go to 4. That's what it was. And that's really it in a nutshell. I'd be happy to answer any questions and kind of try to provide some more insight from that meeting. But this is kind of where we are. I worked with staff and Public Works and the various departments that will be, trying to work on these projects. You'll see in the very far right corner table there, you'll see we kind of put together some timelines on when we anticipate these projects going. So, the tree giveaway, that's going to go through the end of the fiscal year. The additional benches on General Gym should be completed by, end of April. The utility box wraps by the end of May. The bike racks by the end of June. The murals by the end of June. And everything's we're kind of going near the end of the fiscal year. And then we look at the solar lights on the palm trees. We're still evaluating on whether or not what we can get for the $15,000 for that. So that's in the Public Works Department. And then I'm working on the projection screen and then the replacement lights. You'll see $400. We're working on the replacement lights for the Seaside sign out here in front too. So
Can we get a copy of that?
yeah. What I'll do is I'll include this in the minutes for the next time. And then there was one too. Should be in the packet. What I included in the packet on the staff report. Oh, okay. So I did. So I included the document that was actually from City Council, and you can actually see who voted which way on what topics and what areas. So you can.
So helpful.
So you can actually kind of see, what we did that, but it was included. So if you went actually into the staff report, it's one of the documents that you can find online too, but I'll make sure that we can print it out and get it to you.
The wraps, are the small little wraps and the large wraps Are they both $1,700?
So, no. No, the small wraps actually came, that was our first kind of pilot test project at the Parks and Rec Commission. No, actually, it wasn't through the commission. We got a request from a member of the public that thought we should, do something up there because those are actually old light poles that when the light poles fall down on General Gym, we just put a box over it. So somebody recommended that maybe we do a wrap on that. The Art and History Commission had some extra money in the budget. So we worked on a small little design contest with some individuals that provided those wraps. So that's kind of how we got to where we are with the big wraps to kind of see what it would look like. We started with a smaller scale and went larger.
You look really good.
Oh.
It really makes a difference. I mean, for sure.
Some of them are very vibrant. It is a really good project. And to think that that's just the wrap and not actually painting, right? Like, so we do have some extra designs that didn't get selected that we're going to revisit those ones. And we're also going to be putting out the RFP to try and get some more designs as well.
Good, 'cause I might want to submit something. Broken, by the way, up there. Somebody hit it and it smashed.
One of the
boxes. It's that's just before Sao Paulo. San Paulo.
on General Gym.
Yes.
Oh, man.
I just saw it when I was coming back from the commissary on Sunday.
Of course.
Yeah. So just so you know, maybe I should have reported it right then, but I didn't think about it till just now.
Okay, well, thank you for that, and we'll definitely. It's a bummer. I mean, it's been wrapped for less than a month. To answer your question about the doing all of them, so we only have, I think the city only has, 12 that we own in the city. The other ones are owned by PG&E or Caltrans or other jurisdictions. So we would have to work with them on whether or not to do it. That's kind of why we were limited to the numbers of those that we could do with these ones, because those are actually city-owned boxes.
So in the future, going forward, can we work with them to get those others covered? Because, it really is a huge improvement. And, I've seen other cities, San Luis Obispo, Santa Maria, they have all of theirs covered. And, just she's naming some too. And even Monterey, our neighbor. So it'd be nice to get all of ours covered.
The answer is I'm sure we can do it. It just probably takes a little bit more working with them to make sure it happens. Yeah. But we want to make sure that we at least get all of our city-owned ones done first. Yeah. And then that way they can kind of hopefully see like, hey, look, this is kind of what we're envisioning. And then you can see it really does make a difference.
And I had a question about the lights, the solar lights at palm trees. So all the palm trees. So one thing I was wondering is, I don't know if you know this, but so I want to know, for one, what does that mean with the solar lights on the palm trees? Is that a light at the bottom that shines up, or is that lights within the canopy, or what? And two, why did they do palm trees all the way down? Why are they putting in those other trees down there in North Fremont?
So let me answer both your questions. No new trees were planted.
Really? Those palm trees weren't new?
No,
From where?
they've been there. We did not plant any new trees at all in the medians at all. The only new plants that were planted in the medians are some little small shrubs down, in the rock.
Talking about the north side.
Anywhere, up and down Fremont.
None of those palm trees are new.
No, that's
They were,
Those palm trees have all been there.
on the side, on the south side,
Great.
not the
Got
south side.
A little bit of organization here. I'll point my finger. No, I'm just kidding. Are you serious?
Yes.
We were never.
We did not plant we did not bring in any new palm trees or any trees at all.
I'm gonna challenge you.
Well-
Challenge that.
They did not grow overnight. They were not there.
We have not planted any new palm trees. You can go look at Google Maps and you can look at the timeline and you can see when they were there many years ago when they're this tall.
Yeah, these are layers.
Like
on it. He
KFC.
wouldn't mind.
Huh?
I don't
So
think-
you're saying the one by KFC was already there?
Right. You'd be surprised at how many emails and calls we got on why we planted palm trees. And I think it's just because people are noticing them because we were doing the work.
It's looking good.
just, it really, it beautified it. So people are wondering about the palm trees, but no, we did not plant any new palm trees. When it comes to the lights, we are looking at a variety of different options. We're looking at the like string lights that go all the way up, but I think what we're really coming to is something that's kind of more focused on the middle and kind of just goes up into the canopy. But then back with the $15,000, right? That's not going to really give us the ability to do all the palm trees at this one time. So it's going to be more of a pilot program for that.
So that could be something that our commission could allocate funding toward.
Right, correct. Right. If we do 5 palm trees now and then it really looks good. And then we decide like, you know what, we want to finish all of them on Fremont, then that's what we want to do.
So that would be really beneficial. I don't know if that's something that you could get us, but it would be beneficial to find out what projects the city council is looking at, what they're not completed. Like obviously on Lincoln Park, we could probably, I mean, it might be a suggestion. I'm not saying we're going to do it, but that we allocate more funding, more of our 25-26 funding toward the park since there was insufficient funds there, or something, or more toward these lights. I mean, but it would be helpful if we knew exactly, because not all of us can attend the city council meetings. And if we could get that information, I don't know if you can, or if that's just too much extra work, but that would be really helpful in my opinion.
Through the chair.
Chair, yeah.
A couple of things, and the point that the co-chair just mentioned brings up something that I wanted to bring up. I think this is the best time is any. But first of all, back to the High Five program. So just to be clear, the city council didn't authorize it because they are not satisfied with the refinement of the process of supplying the funds for a project. Is that right?
I think I don't recall the entire conversation. I have to go back and listen to it, but it seemed like it wasn't something that they've really bought into yet. Like maybe if there was more of a plan and a written program on how this would actually look, right? Like, maybe just for example, you have a timeline like the tree program, right? We know that every year on February 1st, the High Five program is going to open up and accept applications from residents that are interested in participating in this program. And then, the application period would be open for a month. And then the commission would review the applications. They would, maybe you require photos and things like that you would look at, and you could see like, okay, you know what, like this one really looks like it needs a little bit of help, or however the commission wanted to do it. And then they could figure that piece out. I think there's kind of a lot of unknowns with it. There's nothing fortified. Right.
So are they waiting for us, since we've been allocated this project, it sounds like, are they waiting for us to come up with the process?
I think that would, yes and no. I think if it died completely and the commission just forgot about it and didn't do anything, I don't think there would be another, I don't think it would be brought up again. But if the commission wanted to run with it and figure out, hey, it didn't work this time. Let's try and revamp it and see like, this is how we envision it now. And then there's a real like plan of action on how it would roll out that the council can sink their teeth into, if you will. I think that could help it. There's no guarantees that they would then change their mind and be interested in it, but it would give them a little bit more food for thought if they, actually understood on how it would work. Because I think the way it was presented to it was just like, oh, the city will decide, we'll pick 4 residents that, their weeds are tall, that we're going to go over there and clean up their weeds. Right. I don't think there's no, how are you making that decision? Who's going to be eligible? Like this and that, like there was no process. Because
if I remember correctly, the police chief is the one who originally came up with the idea. Is that right?
Conceptually, yes.
Okay. So I would like to if he's available, have him come and speak with us at our next meeting, just see what, the further out his thoughts, see what he thinks, basically see, because as far as I know, we've been given this project, and it sounds like that like what you just said, and what some of my fellow commissioners are thinking, it sounds like, is that we're not sure that if we want to. So I would like to hear what the chief had in mind, and then we could discuss it more and decide whether or not to.
Can I address that? Yeah, he did give us quite a large
Yeah.
presentation that was very detailed
Very detailed.
and had all of that laid out. And so I wish I could have been at the meeting. But
Yeah.
I think we just need to have another go at it. Maybe just a couple of us could meet with Chief Borges and jumpstart that for next year.
Okay.
You know, cleaning up people's homes and painting and things like that, they were done by that Christensen April, which you were a part of, Dennis, and that was a nonprofit. So I agree with Tiffany, our city money shouldn't be doing that. If we can somehow stir up a nonprofit in the city to help out that way, and it should be a criteria, like you have to be 65 years and older, you have to have an income of this, you know, there has to be a lot of criterias, but as far as city monies, I don't, but that's, I mean, we're not voting on it, so I just wanted to add that. That's usually a nonprofit that does that, goes out and helps people.
Okay, well, I'll volunteer to meet with Chief Borges and because I wasn't at that meeting as well. I may have been deployed with the Red Cross when that happened. But I'd like to hear that again and see just what the thought was. And if the city council was willing to at least have it refined, then I would seem to me, because I totally hear what you're saying, there must be something more to it than spending city funds on an individual house, because that would not seem right. So there must be, if that was all there was to it, then I fully agree that no, that you need to get a nonprofit.
And I want to clarify that I don't know whether or not the council would approve it being refined. I'm just trying to provide some potential insight on possibilities. You know, from my understanding from the meeting, you know, the city council, if you notice, the tree program was the only thing that they kept for your proposed annual projects, right? And that was more because that is, you know, yes, Tree City, the trees, you know, they help a variety, you know, they beautify neighborhoods, they provide habitats, the pollinators, there's a variety of different things there that they see the benefit for. And it is kind of brick and mortar, if you will, because, you know, you're asking residents to plant a tree in their yard. Whereas some of the other things, you know, I think were a little bit more, you know, iffy. And then, you know, some of the things that we could be doing, you know, for example, the graffiti abatement, one of the things that, you know, the reason why that didn't get funded is because we kind of already doing graffiti abatement for like, right. So like if graffiti is reported on a park, I let staff know, Public Works will go out there and take care of it. Right. I think as long as it's on city property, you know, we can abate it as best we can. I think the challenge comes in then if it's on private property, now you're going back into that, you're abating something on private property and they're benefiting city dollars, you know, if you can. So that was kind of the way I was understanding it.
I think some of us, when the police chief stood there and gave his presentation, some of us assumed that the city was already in on the project. I mean, here's the chief of police giving us a presentation. And then when we heard that, like you just said, it was cut to the nick. You wonder, is there more being not said about that project? And so
Maybe they had second thoughts.
they could have. And so you guys more than welcome to go and talk to the chief and then come back to us and we could talk about it.
Yeah, I'll still do that, but what I would like to do, because I'm seeing some real downsides to this as well. If we could have it, I mean, it's not here, so we can't really vote on it tonight as far as taking it on.
Yeah.
But if I could request we have it put on our next agenda, then we could to see if we want to continue, if there's something.
Well, it was on our agenda. It was D. It was D on our agenda. We just talked about the Hi-Fi program.
Right, but we haven't, as far as I know, we still have it, but hearing
No,
this.
we don't have it. The city said no. That's it.
No, they didn't say no. They said, well, if you refine the process.
No. he said
and let me clarify. I just, as I said, I'm not sure if you came with a refined process, if they would change their mind moving forward. Like that was, yes, that was a suggestion on a potential if the NIC wanted to bring it back, right? Because the way it was presented, when I took over was like, this is what we're doing. I wasn't at that meeting that the chief presented, and I didn't have any of that background either on like the stipulations or all that stuff. If I would have, maybe that could have been different for the city council, but I think in theory, like I was saying, you can see what they, where kind of their ideas lie and the projects that they want to see. And it's kind of evident with some of those other proposals that were requested. But it is up to the commission if you want to bring it back and take it back for another bite at the apple. I'm just saying that if you do, my suggestion would be to try and refine and have a full-on plan that can be presented to them.
Through the chair.
Yes.
It was my impression, talking with some of the council members after that meeting, that a lot of our stuff they did not like, and that was probably one of them. That was one of them. So you can talk about it all you want, but I probably wouldn't bring it back.
To the chair. Can I circle back around to what Tiffany suggested, which was, I think, if I'm interpreting it, at some point before our retreat, could we have a list of things that would be helpful if we keep them on, if we bring them up again this year? I think that's what you were saying.
Yes.
If
For
you,
sure.
maybe you and Public Works could take a minute before that retreat time and just give us some suggestions of the parks, the things that are ongoing that we could, because we did that this year. That was a lot of what we did were the projects that were not completed the year before.
Right.
And it's really helpful if we have a list of projects that aren't completed or that would be helpful from your end. Not that we'll do them necessarily or suggest them, but that would be helpful at the retreat.
Like we didn't get the pole flags up there, that talked about.
Oh, yes.
On
The welcome banners.
Welcome banners, or for the races, or we had multiple flags we wanted to have put up 2 years
Yeah,
ago.
and so I
And
still have.
that's a
list of
game
that.
changer. I mean, a lot of cities do that too,
But-
but
And I have a list of the ones from
Do
the
you?
previous year, but it would
We
be
can
good
bring that
for
up
these,
for
for these current.
but these current ones, yeah.
Talking like when we put up like welcome back otters, the ones
Yeah.
when, the beginning of the school year, and the congrats to graduation or the graduates and things like that. Okay.
I mean, some
Yeah.
cities do, the Victoria's.
Yeah.
School saying, thank you, or, make it personal to one person, and they have some fun with it. Some cities do, and that's what we're thinking about, so.
But it is a lot of work for PW to keep interchanging them every season too. That's what we have to keep in mind, that Public Works would have to go out there and change it for every time we wanted to. I just think a welcome sign would be better on the seaside in 7 different languages would be great. But if we keep changing for the schools, the races, the international festival, I'm just making up things.
Well, I'll
It's
just
gonna
say
be a
this,
lot of
so
work.
everybody thinks about this. How many of us did not see the palm trees on Fremont Boulevard? Because they've been there forever. Okay, and so that's why you change things up. Yeah, because it's just like in safety stuff, you gotta change those signs up, because pretty soon it's just like that picture over there. It becomes just the typical thing. So that's all. Go ahead.
Well, through the chair, when you say that, and he said about, I'm thinking we should propose more palm trees along Fremont. That's one of our projects, because it was a hit and they didn't even get new palm trees. So now we need some actual new palm trees to go all the way down.
Be surprised how many people actually don't like the palm trees, and they were mad that they thought that we put in new palm trees.
I
Oh,
know
there's
there's it in his car, because I said, no, they've always been there. And he goes, no, let me show you. And we drove down there and I said, no, they've always been there. Well, what's this orange stuff around them? And I said,
Yeah.
they're protected, so they don't get ran over by the, equipment and things like that.
And I think that's what it was. It was the protective barrier that they wrapped around and people thought that that was a new tree.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I'm surprised, what are the reasons why people don't like them? Do you recall?
Oh, I know them all. I responded to a lot of them, yeah. Inappropriate for our climate.
Sure.
They won't grow here, they're
Uh,
going to die, they're unsightly.
Invasive.
Go ahead.
So just the other item is that it's pretty obvious, it seems to me, that the city council is looking at brick and mortar projects from this commission. And it became an issue this past go around that not all of the other commissions were made aware of the TOT funds that they could apply to come up with their own project. And a lot of the other commissions aren't going to have something that will fit under that brick and mortar heading. So can we let it, when we put out there that we are accepting applications, accepting proposals, accepting presentations, that talking about using time wisely, that not that the city will not, the council will not look at something like that, but that's their leaning at this point. Because that became a criticism of towards us, that we didn't let everybody know about them. And but then the council wants to see brick and mortar type projects, which is not everything not all the commissions are going to have a project that fits under that.
No, and it is a tight, it's a fine line to dance on because, obviously you want to do some brick and mortar, but it can't be too large where it's a capital improvement project. So you got to kind of look at some of the smaller ones that we do have up here, like the murals, the art projects, the benches, when we're talking about a couple pieces here and there that can actually be done in-house, where, staff can do that. But then we also got to make sure too that we're not overloading staff. But I think yes, the playground, because we're already doing, work up there. I think that is kind of a fine line there too. Like if we want to put a new playground somewhere else, we would have to really look and see the feasibility of that. I think, but one of the kind of the borders that we're looking at is the tennis courts, right? You allocated funds for the tennis courts, and that was, it could have been considered a CIP project, but it was kind of within that threshold that wasn't too extravagant, and it kind of fit that mold there, and it happened fairly quickly. Then where we had a contractor work on it, so we got to just make sure that people aren't shooting for the big star, but like kind of staying within that scope. You got to kind of, if you're looking at projects, it's got to be right around $50,000 to $60,000 probably, all in. And I think that those are more reasonable when we start talking about the brick and mortar ones. But I do think that like there are some ways to do some of these other projects if we can sell it right. I think the trees are on that one, right? Where it could be brick and mortar, but it could also be neighborhood improvement, on a different level. And it is something that the community is benefiting from because you're getting it for their residents, right? So I think that's the difference from the trees and like the flag giveaway was because the trees have so much more value, I think, to the community as a whole than one individual family getting a flag. And that's kind of how it was, perceived, I guess, if you will.
Yes.
Can I thank you for jumping in at the last minute and making this happen? Because really nice job on all of this.
No problem.
Appreciate
It's
that.
my pleasure.
Sure, thank you.
And I think we've all learned something too when we start thinking about projects.
Yes.
There's no doubt about that.
I just don't want to learn too much. I just want to keep it open a little bit because, for example, the neighborhood watch, we are, that is in our commission statement that we are supposed to have a neighborhood watch program and it keeps getting rejected. Money keeps getting rejected for it.
Well, oh, no, the neighborhood watch was taken away from us and given to the police chief. Was it
And I think that the
Ramona? Was it? Huh? I thought the police The chief of the fire department?
No, not fire department, no. But I think that we just need, I think with the neighborhood watch program, it just needs to kind of be more refined again. I think there needs to be a plan on what that actually looks like. I know that there may have been some meetings in the past. And I think it's more of kind of like standing it up and figuring it out and having more of an idea of what that looks like. I think kind of like what we were talking about with the High Five program. If we have a plan of action on what the neighborhood watch program looks like, the council may have a better idea. Because I think all I got from it and what I was told, it was you were just looking for more signs, right? See, and I didn't have a clear understanding of what the commission was envisioning with that program. And I was told that like, oh no, the $5,000 is just to put up 40 new signs throughout the community. But if there's no mechanism on how the community works together as a true neighborhood watch, then that was kind of a moot point.
Excuse me, when we first revived it several years ago, when Alex was the chair, we got notebooks, and then we got the new little signs to put in our window. Were you?
Yes, we had pizza, we had delivered at these places. and
Yeah,
all- and
but do you remember the
and
notebook?
We did a whole 10 yards.
Yeah, we have the notebooks that. Yeah, I still have the little signs to put in the windows, the new ones that we came up with. We just need an actual, I think the notebooks actually have what we're supposed to talk to people about.
How about if I speak with, Alex? you know, And see what he has, because he was running that, wasn't he?
I
And
have a
see-
lot of the paperwork.
Do you?
I
And we'll
brought
see
it
what
up.
we
We
have to
just
do.
need to make sure that
Yeah.
gets communicated. So we'll do that at the retreat. It's getting packed.
Okay. Anything else?
I think you can open up public comment now.
Yeah. Public comment? No. Public comment is closed. Reports from commissioners. Who wants to go first?
I have
No.
nothing.
Happy?
I'd just like to put on our next meeting on the agenda, set dates for the cleanup, the spring cleanup.
Okay. And then I have the flyers that we have to have them redo about specifying what can be done to those dumpsters. So we don't have an episode like we did over the house.
It's on.
It doesn't say dishwasher, it doesn't. This guy pinpointed me so much, and then when I walked away, he was throwing things into the dumpster. No large appliances.
It didn't say that. It just said on the flyer, I think it said
No,
no electronics.
but like he said, he goes, I said, there's no dishwashers, and he goes, you don't say that on your flyer. It was unbelievable.
That comes from.
Yeah, so yeah, okay,
Excellent.
that'd be great. And then, Ramona, you have anything?
And to thank Mr. Mullis for everything he's done, and I'm glad to see you as our new liaison. I hope it works out. And in the meantime, I do have a card for Adolfo, who spent temporary time here. Everyone would sign that before the meeting. We can give it to Jennifer to give to Adolfo.
Nice of you.
Nice.
Very nice.
I have one thing, some people have brought up about our benches out there on General Gym. And this person is, quite particular way he does things. Lucky he lives in my neighborhood. He went out and measured where the benches were. there, 200 feet between each bench. I guess, we set up 4. And then he measured that there's 4 miles of general gym. Why didn't we put bench here and bench there rather than having them all clumped together? And I said, maybe the city did that. I don't know who did it. We just allocated the money for it. But he said it just didn't make sense that you would have everybody sitting in that one spot. And-
Well, can I address that?
yeah, so I go,
So initially, the project, we just wanted to get the benches on General Jim Moore.
Yeah.
And I know when I proposed it, I just said, maybe just this one section, and we'll see if the city council buys it. And then when when city council approved it, and we went out there, we were just looking for the site locations, Joan and I, that had the best view. Going forward, I would like to push that we have benches on the other side, going toward Hillby and going all the way down to Grand Hyatt. I said that in the beginning, but we can't, we have to work within our limits, and I'm just doing a little bit at a time. This time when we make our proposals, I plan to propose benches again.
Mhm.
And maybe we can, as a commission, we can think of the best area for the next block. Like from maybe, like I said, Hillby to Broadway, or from San Paulo to Cove, whatever. Maybe as a commission, we can decide where's the best place to put the next set of benches and do 4 more benches. Because I would like to see them all along General Jim Moore. But,
yeah, it was just his opinion, but he was just saying, you sit 4 people on there, that's 4 times 4, 16 people lined up in this little space. When he walks down the other end, where he doesn't care about the view, what he wants to do is be able to rest. And he goes, maybe we should look into that. And I told him I'd bring him to it.
And
Hopefully
we-
he's listening and he understands that.
and in that case where there's no view, we can turn the benches the opposite way. I don't know, we just have to look. But I just think it would be nice, because what I had said before was when people are visiting the Grand Hyatt, I'm thinking maybe they'll get out and walk. It's a beautiful place, and walk along General Jim Moore, and then we've got these benches. Who's got the most money to stay at the General Hyatt? Usually, or the Grand Hyatt's usually retirees.
Yeah.
So then, they need to rest as they're walking.
And so, simple answer, and that's perfect.
Perfect.
When people bring up those.
Exactly.
Basically complaints, it's really nice to just say, that was the decision, I'll get back to you.
Yeah,
And now
exactly.
it's that.
It's out.
We started, and also Public Works got input with where was,
Mhm.
the flat.
That's right. Any other commissioners want to bring up anything?
I did want to bring up something that I thought of. So, this might be a little contentious, but I don't know. I don't know what everybody's thoughts are, but I just want to say, my prayers are for the people of Louisiana, those people that were injured. And it had occurred to me that, we have some big public events. And with these kind of crazy things happening where people are driving their trucks in and plowing over people, maybe we should, as a commission, recommend to city council that we have better security when we have our our auto things and any other public events to protect our population. It is going to be an expense, but we have all these nut jobs out there and a lot of copycats, and we just need to think about protecting our people, so we don't become the next news sensation,
And the last thing I would like to bring up for the general interest to the community is fireworks. I would like to have you go and look on the newspaper on Honolulu and see that 4 people died and 20 people went to the hospital over New Year's Eve from an explosion from fireworks. They authorized the safe and sanes, but lo and behold, they have the big fireworks. And my brother lives over there and he said it was unbelievable to watch. And brain stuff, matter, was on the sidewalk up against the wall. Killed a 3-year-old. And here we are in Seaside that didn't get our fireworks taken care of. So, just read the article, it's unbelievable.
What
Okay.
article is that?
It's in the Honolulu, God, wait, huh? Is it the Star?
Maybe you could forward that to us. Do you have the link?
I don't have it, no, my brother called me up because he knew.
Okay.
Okay, reports from staff?
My other report is, just want to thank the commission for those of you that attended the holiday live streaming. For the time, it's nice to get out there and see the decorations and look forward to that collaboration in the future. I think it's a good way, as we discussed earlier, on staying out of the silos and getting commissions to work together. And, you know, there is overlap, and that was something that I think that, you know, it's fun for the community, you know, that they can get content out of it. One person didn't have their lights on and we had to go up to the door and then they turn them on for us and it was like, wow, it was off. So, yeah, that person actually did win first place. So, yeah, no, it was a lot of fun and, I'm looking forward to my time here, working with all of you. So, thank you for having me.
Oh, thank you.
Can I ask you a question about that Christmas thing? Does Seaside, put the results of who won on their newsletters or anywhere?
So, should have guessed. Normally I would have had a driver drive. I drove this time and I took photos and I didn't get out.
Oh,
Only that I forgot.
it's not your fault. I could see if you were driving,
And
you know.
we did the last, you know, so in the year before we did, and we actually had a presentation at council, and we announced the winners at council. But that following council meeting we had was ceremonial one, so it wasn't really an opportunity to do it.
Yeah.
So, yes, I think as we look at the future, that will be it, and we'll present it like you present the house.
Great. Well, I'm sorry I missed it. I think I am. But that, we're not presenting until March, I think. Yeah, yeah. Yeah. Thanks for the reminder, Ramona.
I remember. No, not 27.
Yeah.
Move to adjourn.
I second.
Aye.
Aye.